So basically, Howard Lutnick, you know who he is, right? Hopefully I don't have to explain to you that he has everything to do with the tariffs. But anyway, he recalled a discussion, a meeting that he had, and he went into Epstein's house because he lived next to him. And he called Epstein, finally somebody called him up, the greatest blackmailer ever. And basically he claimed that during a visit to Epstein's Manhattan townhouse, Lutnick lived right next door to him. Epstein showed him a massage room and told him he got the right kind of massage. Wink. No, so he went into the house, and it's a huge house in the apartment, in Manhattan. And he got there, and in the middle of there's a huge room where there's a massage. He says, I'm getting the right kind of massage. And made the remark in a way that made Lutnick very uncomfortable. So he told his wife, we're leaving. So based on that encounter and what he observed, Lutnick speculated that Epstein may have recorded compromising footage of wealthy and powerful associates and used those recordings for blackmail. He further suggested that such recordings could have been traded to prosecutors as part of the ideal Epstein, the deal that he got in 2008. And that the plea deal might have been in part a quid pro quo for withholding or providing those tapes. Lutnick admitted that he had no knowledge confirming the theory. He framed purely speculation. But when you know that Epstein, and there's a bunch of other people, but the top guys, one was the head of Apollo, right? Apollo Investment Bank, who paid him $156 million. I said, why did you give this guy so much money? Well, he managed I'm worth $2 billion, so, still, that's a lot of money to give to someone. The head, the founder of Limited, Victoria's Secret and all that, he actually gave Epstein power of attorney over all his affairs. Why? I guess he must be a genius of all genius of managing money, I guess. And, but now Lutnick is actually saying he was the greatest blackmailer ever. You went in there, you tried it out, and it was filmed, and he used it against you. You also should know that Epstein, at the beginning, before all this started, got involved in a Ponzi scheme. Ponzi scheme, remember the Wizard of Wall Street, Madoff? $40 billion, $50 billion, $50 billion, right, of a Ponzi scheme. Well, he was involved in a Ponzi scheme, and he got away, and the other guy got 20 years because he turned on his friend. That's kind of the mentality we're talking about here with Epstein. Never mind all the other stuff. So it's a powerful combination. And when he died, he was worth, what is it, 600 million? No, $600 million. So that's the first thing. So Lutnick was out there talking, and the guy is the greatest blackmailer ever. So maybe that's what's happening. Maybe that's what is going on. So, and of course, because we're having a shutdown, guess what's also stopped? Congressional activity is paused and delayed. Because Congress is not holding votes or floor session during the shutdown, key procedural steps needed to force or authorize more disclosure are stalled. For example, the swearing of a new member, as we talked about before, that has been delayed. Leadership may use a shutdown strategically. Some observers believe the shutdown is being exploited to avoid having to conduct a vote or take action on releasing sensitive documents. This is pretty deep. For instance, House Speaker Johnson has been criticized for keeping the House in recess even before the shutdown, allegedly to prevent a vote on the standards for releasing Epstein files. Maybe the fact that we have a shutdown certainly helped that case. Although you would say, what? That's too much. Number 3, administrative staffing constraint in agencies. During a shutdown, many federal agencies operate under a contingency basis. Non-essential staffs are furloughed or restricted. That can slow all processes such as document review, reaction to compliance with subpoenas. Why I didn't see a definitive source explicitly stating that the Justice Department document delivery is suspended by the shutdown, there is a general consequence of funding gaps. What's going on here? Are we saying that we have a shutdown because they want to delete the release of the Epstein files? Well, they're certainly delaying the fact that this congresswoman cannot vote to release even more information because of the shutdown. But it was delayed before, and now it's further delayed. Is it that bad? Don't forget, they're releasing not everything, but whatever's been released so far in dribs and drabs looks quite interesting. Some people were found having dealing business after. They found that JP Morgan was doing business after he was convicted. In fact, they want to bring the head of JP Morgan in to talk about it. They want to bring all these people in. And there's a lot of people. Momentum, political leverage is diminished. The shutdown shifts attention towards funding fights and away from oversight or accountability issues. That reduces the political urgency and oversight bandwidth for pushing through controversial disclosures. So, what is not clearly changed by the shutdown? Some Epstein-related documents have already been released. The House Oversight Committee has publicly released multiple batches of documents, ledgers, flight logs, and was saying that even Elon Musk was supposed to take a flight, schedules. The DOJ has publicly signals limitations in their willingness to release more, not necessarily only because of the shutdown. The department has stated it will stop releasing additional Epstein files beyond what has already been provided. Legal constraint remain powerful and would affect disclosure even in the absence of a shutdown. So the point is, this is a very difficult situation. This is a very contentious situation because they're not able to release information. And yet, whatever comes out becomes quite interesting. You realize people actually were catering to Epstein. For example, when we're talking about Fergie, remember Fergie? She actually got a loan, and in fact, of $3 million, several millions actually, from Epstein, because they were having some difficulties. And Andrews was on that island all the time, from what we've seen. And now the information is released that she herself, after they released her emails got hacked, and you could see she's like, "God, I can't believe that you were indicted, but I'm writing children's books. That's why I couldn't say anything." So all these things are dripping and dropping in, and they're quite interesting because people realize that he had a hold on all these people, and he popped. I don't think it was his personality; it was his money, and it was his blackmail, and that's the thing that people are worrying about. That how many more people are being impacted? People rather that this goes away and you don't talk about it. Even within the MAGA movement, they want to know, because at the end of the day, it was about the pool, right? The cesspool, drain the swamp. Well, that's what they're trying to do, draining the swamp. But obviously, not everyone wants it to happen because they say it involves so many people. But whatever is happening, slowly and dripping, there was a list of people that recently got made public. You may not know about them, but, quite interesting characters that gave money to Epstein, and the money was given back to him, back and forth for some reason. And meanwhile, keep in mind, all this is done through banks, and JP Morgan was the biggest bank that was involved. They paid millions, I think hundreds of millions of dollars in fees and compensation without admitting any guilt. Something happened, definitely, but what exactly? So currently, what's going on with this special bill that we're talking about? What is this bill I keep referring to? Well, it's called the Massey Kana Petition/Discharge Request. And where does it stand right now? Well, basically the bipartisan effort. Now, this is bipartisan for real. Thomas Massey, not well liked by the president, by the way, Republican, and Ro Khanna, a Democrat from California, aims to force the House to vote on a resolution requiring the Department of Justice and related agencies to release all unclassified documents related to Jeffrey Epstein. As of now, they are reported to be very close to securing the 218 signatures needed to file a discharge petition, which would bypass leadership control and compel floor actions. That is what they are trying to do. As of now, they are reported to be very close. Massey has publicly stated he will soon have the 218 signatures. And then there is a shutdown. I mean, I'm joking around, but it's very coincidental. Again, what is going on? As of now, they are reported to be very close to securing. Khanna has said there are already 216 supporters and that 2 Democrats will join to reach the threshold. One crucial Democrat is expected, again, Adelita Grajalva from Arizona, who won a special election and pledged to sign the petition. But she has not yet been sworn. I mean, you have to believe. It's an incredible set of circumstances you've got to believe, right? We're looking for 218 Republicans plus Democrats. We are almost there, and somehow we get that extra vote from that person that just got elected in a special election, and somehow we happen to have a shutdown. That's even delaying that. Well, let's see what happens after. I'm curious to see if she actually gets voted in and what she says or does. Maybe they're working on some others, trying to make them change their votes. I don't know, because if you claim you're going to do it, if you pull back, you're going to have to give a really good explanation. One crucial signature is needed, but she has not been sworn in, like I said before. The House Oversight Reform Committee, led by Republicans, have proactively released 33,000 pages, but there's nothing in those pages. I mean, I'm not going to say I read them all, but I kind of scanned through, and there's mostly flat logs and basically, what we already know, but there's not enough information. Nothing new. And it's a little bit like when, what's her name? Ghislaine Maxwell, when she was interviewed, we're going to finally know where are the file. She says, there's nothing happened. I didn't do anything. There's a big misunderstanding. Yes, he gave me loans. Yes, he gave me $30 million. Yes, but I was helping him out. That had nothing to do with the girls. I don't know anything about all this. Nobody did anything. The president didn't do anything. Andrews didn't do anything. If it happened, I didn't know. Please send me to my new jail cell, which happens to be in what we call Club Fed. Speaker Johnson has criticized the petition as inartfully drafted, arguing it lacks adequate protection for the victims and is unnecessarily given the Oversight Committee release. So basically saying we don't need any more pages from Epstein. Stop it, because we released a lot and then it's not well drafted. My concern is that innocent people are going to get hurt. The Epstein estate delivered a third batch of documents very recently, call logs, cash ledgers, calendars, to the Oversight Committee, and the committee plans to release them publicly after redacting the victims' names. Massey has reaffirmed that the presence of a name in the file does not imply guilt, and that's going to be interesting because they want to get that information out as soon as possible. Now, was there any information found about any blackmail? No, right? Over the years, online rumors and some talk show dimension alleged that Epstein recorded compromising materials on guests. This theory is recently echoed by Howard Lutnick. This was always dying because it was nothing we couldn't find. And then Lutnick comes out and he said that Epstein might have filmed people in the massage room, but he also admitted he has no direct proof. So that's coming back right up all over again. Confiscated hard drive. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Okay, this is important for me to keep going. And in fact, you should join the channel as a member as well, because what we do in a very systematic kind of way is we look for all those black swans, right? All of these events that will certainly create chaos at some point, either in the stock market or in the economy. That is extremely important. So there's no credible, official, or legally substantial list of individuals who were blackmailed by Epstein. This is pure speculation. Fine, right? Some of the names that, like Leslie Wexner, right, mentioned in court documents among the unsealed name. Leslie Wexner, very, very famous guy, obviously, right? I mean, Leslie, believe it or not, this was recently unsealed in court documents, and he was the head of, who was he? He was the guy that was in charge of the Limited, and he just kind of went away. And the guy from Apollo kind of just disappears as well. And lots of people. Many of the names come from court filing in civil lawsuits. It doesn't mean because you're in it that you're guilty. We all know that. Elon Musk was in there. Peter Thiel, one public statement points out that Epstein's file invested $40 million in his firm from 2015 to 2016. Now you have Steve Bannon, and they were supposed to have a breakfast with him. Bill Gates is mentioned in Epstein calendar and interplay of contacts. In fact, his wife, the wife of Bill Gates, divorced him. What was the real reason behind the divorce? Prince Andrew, passenger on the Lolita Express, if you know what that is. So, lots of information being released. We shall see what happens. Leon Black, obviously co-founder and former CEO of Apollo Global Management, and he paid Epstein large sums. He reportedly $158 million between 2012 and 2017 for financial estate and tax advice. Remember, he got indicted in 2008. An independent review commissioned by Apollo board found that Epstein had played a significant role in restructuring family purse and tax strategies for Black. After that, Black resigned. He didn't do anything wrong. He just left. Okay, took his money and left. Then we have Leslie Wexner is the best. He was the Limited, and he was the CEO and late owner of the L brand. Epstein had very close financial relationship with Wexner. Epstein managed Wexner's finances, had power of attorney over his assets, and was deeply involved in real estate and philanthropic affairs. So, bottom line is this, folks. This is not over. What you want to watch out for, you want to watch out exactly what happens when maybe next week, if she is allowed to vote, and then beam, right away, this gets released, even more information, or something happens. Or maybe the shutdown goes on and on. Don't forget, it doesn't have to stop with the shutdown to release more information, right? Leader Johnson could just say, okay, fine, let's swearing in, and boom, let's, put the floor to the vote, and then we could release more information, although he doesn't want to. So follow that one very carefully, because there's a lot of information, sounds very interesting.